Yo, what is up, boys and girls? My name is Osmer, and I got my alt-right Generation Z gear on today. And we're gonna talk today about Generation Z. I had already tried to make this video prior to this, and I had messed up by referencing Generation X instead of Generation Z repeatedly, and it was just stupid. I had it edited out and everything, and for some reason I didn't notice. I know what Generation X is. It's like from the mid '60s to late '70s. Not at all what I'm trying to talk about. I don't know how I made that mistake in editing the video and just like ignoring it over and over, but I did. So I'm making this video again. This should be up on Monday, hopefully. But yeah, I want to talk about Generation Z today. Now, Generation Z is showing. First things, let me preface this by saying, Generation Z is the most culturally and ethnically diverse generation ever. If you consider diversity to be not white. It is one of the least white generations ever, so you would think that conservatism, in terms of the way that American politics work and the voting groups and the demographics work, you'd consider it to be one of the most liberal generations based on that. But surprisingly, what a lot of research has shown within surveys of the Generation Z, and stuff like that, there's been surveys that have shown that Generation Z is surprisingly conservative. And the easiest explanation as to why this is it's just the pendulum swinging back. If you've never heard that reference, it's a thing that happens in society. If society goes too far one way, there will always be a reactionary generation to deflect the beliefs of that society, or at least a group of people that will deflect that belief or be able to gain in mass, like a large following with them to counter those beliefs. And society will eventually shift back because of that group or that generation, and their change that they bring about. So it's promising if you have shown right, leaning beliefs. If you are a liberal or you show left-leaning beliefs, this might be scary for you to see a lot of your work start to go down the drain because of your younger brothers and sisters, or maybe even your children, for God's sake. Because millennials have had children at this point. Scary to think about, but they have. And they've raised these children with these beliefs, and these children have seen stupid things. And they're kind of just tired of it. Children get tired of things if their parents, they want to rebel against what their parents say, or they want to rebel against what their older brother or sister tells them to do. And when their mom and dad are being like, hey, or like their mom is like, hey, I'm your dad now, or their dad's like, hey, I'm your mom now, or their brother's like, hey, I'm your sister now, or your sister's like, hey, I'm your brother now, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? I'm rebelling against this. This isn't natural. You guys are freaks. You're weirdos. You know who else thinks you're freaks and weirdos? Those conservatives. They hate you. So I'm going to side with them. You know who else is conservative? Donald Trump. So I'm going to side with him too, and I'm going to buy a Make America Great Again hat. I'm going to spam Twitter memes and bully people on Twitter. By the way, just to preface this, I did vote for Donald Trump. I am a conservative, but I am also able to make parody of my beliefs. And I'm not too concerned with the perception that other people have of my beliefs. I'm not like super hardcore right wing to the point where I can't joke about what I believe in, or at least admit that some of my beliefs are a bit extreme. Just wanted to preference that. But anyways, you have this swing back against these parents and these brothers and sisters, or older brothers and sisters, and you got to swing back against that. You got to go against their beliefs, and you'll start to fall into this idea that what you're seeing online, a lot of these kids online nowadays, they've grown up with things like Gamergate or extreme, left-leaning feminism, just extremist feminism. And they've grown up and they've seen all these things, and it's just blown up in their faces. And it's been like, well, this isn't what I'm into. This isn't what I agree with. I'm going to actually start to agree with the complete opposite. And if children grow up with this, they're going to have, in the developing phase of their brain, it's going to force more right-leaning beliefs, with them, because they're going to grow up against these, left-leaning positions, and they're going to keep going further and further right as they grow older. Because a lot of your political ideology, unfortunately, is made up as you are young, and eventually, as you grow up, it's been shown that as people grow up, they do tend to get more conservative. So you can only imagine what's going to happen with Generation Z if they get more conservative. I mean, it might just be an all-out, like, nationalistic, like, Nazi kind of thing going on with this generation. Not overall, but to maybe like a large portion, maybe like if even 5% of a generation showed like Nazi leaning beliefs and an actual like extremist sense of nationalism or even ethno-nationalism, it could spell a lot of trouble for the world and the landscape that people have spent a lot of time building up. Because admittedly, you can see today that there is a lot of agreement, within the landscape, the political landscape and the entertainment landscape, which will tell children or adults, how to think or how they should, maybe consider these other beliefs. Entertainment's had a lot of, play in that. Even going into Modern Family and stuff, having, transgender children and stuff on the show. It's sort of like trying to open you up to these ideas, or to try to open up your mind and try to get you to agree with their beliefs. And we live in the most diverse, culturally diverse age of the entertainment medium ever. And to say that this does not influence the decisions or even, the political beliefs of the generation that is watching it, or just the people in general that are watching it, is ludicrous. These kids grow up and they see all these different instances on television where there's transgender people, interracial relationships, all these, references about how the way that police mistreat black people and stuff like that. You're gonna grow up and you're gonna see this, and it's gonna end up influencing your political beliefs. At least that's what the media actually wants to do in a lot of cases. And to deny that that's one of their end goals is just ridiculous. One of the end goals of entertainment is to influence your political beliefs. Otherwise, they wouldn't put political messages into your entertainment at all. It just wouldn't make sense. Obviously, there's an attempt to influence there. So Generation Z grows up with that entertainment, and they're just sort of rejecting it. And they see it, and the more they see it, people who are giving out that entertainment are expecting them to be receptive of it and maybe turn that into their beliefs. But with Generation Z, more or not, you're just seeing them look at that, and it's pushing them further and further, right? Because they hate the entertainment that they're seeing. So people from Generation Z are going to be like, transgender people are icky. I'm not a big fan of black folk. And they'll start off saying that ironically, as a joke within their little friend groups of all their little boys that they hang out with in middle school, and then they'll grow up and they'll start to actually, be a part of the political beliefs. So I do believe that the future could be a lot more alt-right, that scary alt-right might actually be in our future a lot more than people think it will be. People, you see it more and more on Facebook with people being like, the young future is going to lead this generation. We're going to have like President Bernie Sanders for 90 terms, and the world's going to be a socialist paradise. But I don't know. Even if a small portion of Generation Z manages to turn extremists, like even 5%, if you have a politically extreme, right-wing part of your society, even if it's like 5% of your population, it could spell trouble for your population in general. To reject that is just stupid, and to isolate these people who have this political belief is just going to bring more and more people into it, because they wind up feeling isolated. Because there hasn't been so much discourse in America. I mean, maybe in places like California, like small or like large city areas in California, or large city areas in New York, maybe there isn't like enough discussion or discourse to actually, be able to openly talk about your beliefs or to influence these people. And a lot of times people have to stay in the dark, because if they say anything openly, wrong with the political landscape, which the place they live in, then they'll be shunned for it. You see it in Sweden a lot. A lot of people won't even show any sort of right-wing ideology at all, because it's just so completely left-wing there that it's shunned, and there's not a lot of discussion, and a lot of people are forced into hiding. So a lot of people actually don't turn right-wing. If you get too far left, like way too far left, like Sweden is, the pendulum will have a harder time swinging back. But here in America, I feel like we have this good middle ground where there's a good enough discussion and a good enough platform to give your side of the opinion still, as much as people think that it's the opposite. I think that there is a good enough, good discussion going on in America, to the point where a political ideology isn't going to be shut up anytime soon. So I do believe that the alt-right will keep growing with this generation. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. I think I rambled a lot. That was 10 minutes though. So I love you guys. And Have a good day. If you're 15 years old and watching this, let's make America great again. Pepe the Frog and shit. Love you guys.